Just a reminder, make sure you sign up for public comment if you haven't already. Thank you. Got everybody here. Yeah, because they didn't get their CO from the county still. They're still jumping through some hoops there. Yep. All right, let's get her going here. I'd like to call to order the Florence City Council meeting for Monday, August 19th, 2024. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councillor Van Houten.
Here.
Councillor Stiefel.
Here.
Councillor Mergelman.
Here.
Councillor Gardner.
Here.
Councillor Stone.
Here.
Councillor McKinnon.
Here.
Mayor Wolf.
Here. Okay. Thank you, Cortland, for getting that. All right, first item tonight is a presentation from the Fremont County Humane Society. Mr. Ray.
Now it's on.
Yeah,
Okay.
if it's green, and speak loudly into it, yes.
Okay. Let's see all you guys over there too. It's like over here, so I don't know what I'm going to be doing here. First of all, thank you all for your time tonight. I appreciate it. I originally wanted to inform everybody here tonight, since there's a lot of people up here that I don't, well, not a lot. There's some people up here that I don't know, and so there's some people that really don't know what we do over at the animal shelter. I kind of wanted to let you know what we did over there. I mean, what we've accomplished over the last 10 years in particular. First time I ran through this, I had like a 30-minute presentation. I was so detailed, I had to back it up. So I was just telling Cortland, I says, I'll do my very best to get this over by 15. First, a little bit about me. You know, I've been a Florence Rotarian for the last 9 years. I'm the current treasurer in Rotary. I started as a director at the animal shelter in September 24th of 2014. So next month, it'll be 10 years that I've been over there. I have worked in 3 of the largest animal shelters in the country, which receive between 18,000 and 62,000 animal intakes a year. Excuse me. So I've been doing shelter work now for a little over 20 years. Now, there are two types of animal shelters. There's something called a limited admission animal shelter and an open admission animal shelter. Limited admission animal shelter is just that. They're limited to what they can take in. They can refuse whatever they want. They can accept whatever they want. They're fortunate. And then there's an animal shelter that's called an open admission animal shelter, and that's what the Humane Society of Fremont County is. We have to take every animal that's brought to us. We have to take the young, the old, the sick, the very injured, the cute, the not so cute, and everything in between. We have to take every single one of them. And we've been an open admission animal shelter, I mean, at least for the last 10 years. I would think since this agency started in 1957, they have. But Colorado has two sheltering philosophies. The first is called no kill. No kill is simple. It's you never kill a healthy or treatable animal, not even for space. You know, it was last month, my shelter manager came to me and said, we only have 2 openings, which isn't good since we take in animals from, you know, all of the areas that we contract with. And it would have been very easy for me to say, you know, let's make a list and euthanize 10 dogs for space, and we didn't. I'm pretty happy to say that in 10 years I've been here, we've never ever euthanized a single animal for space. The first no-kill community was created in 2001 up in New York, Tompkins County, by a gentleman named Nathan Winograd. Back then, the save rate to be no-kill was 90%. That number has increased. It's risen over the years. I'm not sure exactly where it is. But 23 years later, there's no-kill animal shelters all across the country, all across the world, really. The second philosophy out there is something called social conscious sheltering. That started and was born here in Colorado, born and raised. It was created as an alternative to the no-kill movement. And a couple years ago, I think one of you was here when last time I was talking about this. A bill was introduced up in Denver, and the social conscious group wanted Colorado to be the first social conscious state in the nation. And on paper, the bill looked, wow, this is great. You know, this is good for the dogs, good for the cats and everything. But there was a dark side to this bill that was going to cause me to start euthanizing animals for the first time that I've been here. So I fought this bill hard. One of the things that this bill had inside it was the definition of the word safe. This bill said that 99%, more than 99% of the animals that come to the animal shelter that act aggressive are simply scared. They just need time for them to trust us, for us to work with them. Sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes a month, sometimes it takes longer. But this bill would state that if you receive an animal and that animal is showing any signs of aggression, you had to euthanize it. So I fought hard against this bill. I testified in front of the House. I testified in front of the Senate. And the bill was passed, but it was a shell of the original bill that was brought forth. I didn't know anything about the political system until I went through this, and I learned an awful lot. But all of the language to harm any animals were removed from the bill. And I don't even know why the bill was passed, honestly. I know maybe somebody understands that better than me. But Florence helped me in my efforts against this bill. But you guys passed a resolution, and I believe Mr. Mayor was sitting here when that happened. I don't remember if you were here or not. But it's okay. It's okay if you were. We receive animals through 4 methods. The first is owner surrenders. The second is resident stray turn-in, and that's simply you're on your way to work one day, and you see a basset hound walking down Main Street, and you say, I want to make sure this dog is safe. You pick up the dog and take it to the animal shelter. You're a resident of Florence. You picked up a Florence. That's considered a resident stray turn-in for Florence. Third is animal control officers, police and the sheriff. The animal control officers, the police and sheriff, account for 30 to 40% of all the intakes that happen at the shelter. The first two, owner surrenders and resident stray turn-ins, account on an average every year, of between 60 and 70% of all the intakes. So realize that 60 to 75% of all the animals we get every year are brought in by the residents of the areas that we serve. Now, the shelter contracts with 7 municipalities: Florence, Canyon City, Coal Creek, Westcliff, Silver Cliff, and Custer and Fremont counties. Animal service contracts are funded through per capita data. You're going to hear people in this area that have been saying for years that it should be based off of the intakes or the intakes that are brought in by the animal control and the police and the sheriff, and that's not true. As I just said a minute ago, almost 70% of all the intakes come in are brought in by residents. So it's per capita data wherever you want to go, and that's the way it's been out here for me as well. So what is Humane Society's per capita? Well, 10 years ago it was $1.24. Or that came out to $49,940 annually. Last year, the shelter was at $3.76. That's an increase to $151,000. The national average for shelters like us, that's our private animal shelter that works with contracts, is $5.85, and we're at $3.76. And I'm okay with that. I said 10 years ago I just wanted to be at like $4 per capita, and we're close to that. We actually were over that, except for what happened with me in the county last year. But the reason I can ask for less money is because we have something called the Wan Foundation. And in 1957, this shelter was created by somebody named Ralph J. Wan. And when he died, he was a very wealthy businessman. When he died, he left the Ralph J. Wan Foundation. And it's pretty much the gift that keeps on giving. We receive money from this funds every month. I can't touch the money. The money just shows up. The money, it's off of the interest that the stocks make every year. I can't touch it because when COVID happened several years ago, I contacted the Wan Foundation and said, hey, I need $57,000. And they said that's not how it works. So it's money I can't touch, but it's money that's here. Last year we received $195,000 just from the Wan Foundation. So if we didn't receive that money, I would have to ask for more money from the areas we work with. We don't receive a single penny from the National Humane Society or from the largest animal shelter funder in Colorado. And if you have one of those fancy plates like I do and my wife does, where it's like adopt a shelter pet, I'm not sure exactly what it says, you would think you pay extra for that plate. You would think that the money from that would come to the animal shelter. We haven't received a penny from that funds in 10 years. I just received a letter 2 months ago from that fund denying us yet again. And it's all politics. I could talk about politics forever. I did last time I was here, and I could do it again. But it's a shame that just because you're a no-kill animal shelter, you get punished for it. So here are some of the services that the shelter provides to the areas that are under contract with us. Owner surrender, owner reclaim, resident straight turn-in, adoptions, low-cost microchips and vaccinations. We have a free pet food program for people who need help financially. We are a holding facility for the state, a holding facility for hoarding cases. Like a couple years ago in Canyon City, we received 73 cats and 6 dogs from one house, and they didn't call me and say, hey, Doug, you got 3 weeks to prepare for this. They said, we'll be there in 20 minutes. So they all came in. We're also a holding facility for court and bite holds and animal cruelty investigations. We also provide emergency medical care to stray animals, and what this means is stray cat is attacked by a dog is hit by a car, a cat is hit by a dog is attacked by wildlife, somebody brings to the animal shelter, they need emergency care, we send them to our vet since we don't have a vet on staff. Well, last year total emergency medical was $32,244. The year before was $45,554. The city of Florence last year was $2,614. The year before was $3,987. Now, Florence's current contract with the Humane Society is $13,557, while the 2023 contract was $12,973. That's an increase of $584 in 1 year. This year's contract, I believe, is only going up 4%. So who does animal control for the city of Florence? Falls under the police department, falls under code enforcement. And I have had several conversations with the city of Florence over the years about the shelter taking over animal control. And as much as I wish I could do it, we've talked and talked again. I just had a meeting with you folks last week. There's just no way I can do it. Not because I don't want to do it, but because the logistics of doing it and hiring a part-time animal control officer and figure out where they're going to be and what their hours are going to be, and they're going to be on call on Saturday night. They're going to be it's just, you guys would have to pay for that animal control officer, and I just don't understand how we could possibly do it, because the ACOs in Canyon and in Fremont, they're code enforcement. I mean, they're not called code enforcement. They're called something else, but they're full-timers at what they do. So the shelter's been recognized several times for our work in the community over the years. In 2014, we were the #9 story in the Daily Record. The title of the story was called New Leadership at the Humane Society. In 2016, we were named the Business of the Year by the Canyon City Chamber of Commerce. In 2017, we were named one of the 2 best open admission animal shelters in the country. In one of the papers that I received, or the notices, it said, the Humane Society of Fremont County has made Fremont County one of the safest communities for homeless animals in the USA. Colorado State Senate drafted a declaration about the shelter in 2017. In 2017 and 2021, we were in the top 1% in the country for animal shelter performance, top 1%. That was a pretty big deal. In 2019, 2020, 2022, and 2023, we're in the top 3% of the country. So your little animal shelter here in Canyon City is waving a flag saying, you know, we're pretty happy about what we're doing out there. Through July 1st of this year, July 31st of this year, we have a 98.32% save rate. That's 96.34 for cats, 99.41 for dogs, 100% for others, and another is anything that's not a dog or cat. And lastly, we have held for the past 9 years in a row the #1, the highest save rate for open admission animal shelters in the state of Colorado. And since we have a 98.32% save rate coming out of July, I'm pretty certain it's going to be 10 years in a row. I gave you guys a lot of props. The only one I'll ask you to look at right now is the one that's got a title on the top that says Key Performance Indicators 2023. There's just a couple things I'd like to go over this and talk about the numbers for Florence. Last year, the shelter received 1,015 live animals. That was 691 dogs, 312 cats, and 12 others. Again, another is anything that's just not a dog or a cat. 429 stray animals were brought in by residents. Florence brought in 37 stray animals, 10 dogs and 27 cats. 171 animals were brought in by their owners, surrendered to the shelter for adoption. Florence had 16 animals surrendered, 6 dogs and 10 cats. So last year, the residents accounted for 59% of all intakes, and Florence accounted for 12% of all intakes. 396 animals were brought in by animal control officers, the police, or the sheriff. Florence police, or in code enforcement, brought in 43 animals, 39 dogs, and 4 cats. We adopted 427 animals last year. That's a 42% adoption rate. We returned to owner 415 animals. That's a 41% reclaim rate, probably one of the highest that I know of in the States. We had 5 animals die at the shelter last year, 2 dogs and 3 cats. We had 26 animals who were euthanized that were owned by the shelter. 5 animals were euthanized requested by the owner, 5 dogs. And we had a total of 36 deaths over at the animal shelter. And at the very bottom, I won't go into any of that, but you can see data going all the way back to 2015, and every year since then. You can see back in 2015, we received 1,883 animals. This year, or last year, was 1,015. So the numbers are ticking down, and that's correct. That's the way it should be. They should be ticking down every year. And then lastly, at the very bottom there, you see our save rates. We've had one of the highest, well, in the country. I can say we definitely have had the highest save rate in Colorado, but we've had one of the highest save rates in the entire country. Last thing I want to do is bring your attention to this long piece of paper. This is all of Florence and nobody else. It just looks at the first 6 months of this year, the first 6 months of last year versus the first 6 months of 2022. So I'll bring your attention all the way to the bottom here, which says total live intakes. The city of Florence has brought in so far this year 30 intakes. Last year at this time it was 63, and the year before was 38. And the reason it was 30 to 63 pretty much is I can say it's because of Mason. Mason did a fantastic job for you folks. I mean, he was very good at what he did. He loved animals, but you no longer have him. And the very bottom of this page is what I talked about earlier, the emergency medical. So you can see you're at $1,417 so far for the first 6 months of this year. All of last year, you were at $3,073, so you're on pace to do what you did last year. And the year before, you were at $3,997. Now, I know I went over my 15 minutes, and I'm sorry for that. But that's the shelter in a nutshell. And I just wanted to give you all, like I said, an update, because some of you I do know, and some of you I don't know.
Yeah. Council, you have any questions? And I know if any questions do come up, we will send them your way.
Yeah, you bet. You guys know where I am.
Okay, appreciate all this information here. Thank you. Next, we have public comments. Just a reminder, when you come up, please state your name and address for the record. Honor the 3-minute limit. Stick to your point. Address the entire council. And just a reminder, as always, the city council is not authorized or obligated to discuss, comment on, debate, or act on any matter raised during public comment. The mayor may refer a matter to city manager or attorney for immediate comment or clarification, or to city staff to obtain additional information and report back to the city council as appropriate. Okay. First, public comment, Kate Fallon. And again, just a reminder to speak loudly into the mic.
Good evening. My name is Kate Fallon, and I'm representing
Excuse
Barnum.
me, Kate. Name and we need your address also.
I'm getting there.
Okay, pull the mic down a little closer right there.
Oh,
the
right
level.
there?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. I'm representing Barnum Barrel, located at 105 West Main Street. I'm here to present a proposal for the city to purchase a Christmas tree. Canyon City has a beautiful 22-foot tree they put in front of the Art Center every year. I spoke with Rex Brady in Canyon City, who's in charge of Parks and Recreation, and he gave me all the information where we could purchase one. The tree comes in different heights and is in panels, so it can be erected and then broke down for storage. It has lights, and all the bulbs are easily replaceable when needed, so we could use it year after year. We, the merchants, do not have the physical capabilities, and more importantly, the proper equipment to safely light or decorate a tree. Having a beautiful professional tree helps give that hallmark hometown appeal to the city of Florence. It will help to draw more visitors to Florence during the holidays. The tree promotes Florence in the eyes of our visitors and gives the community a decorated tree to be proud of. Please help us do that in 2025. I look forward to seeing the tree you have chosen to represent our city next year. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you,
And
Kate.
I've given everybody a handout so
Yes.
you can, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
you bet. Thank you, Kate. Next, we have Katie Scheibler. Like that, is that close? Scheibler. Okay.
Good evening. Good to see you all again. My name is Katie Scheibler. I'm at 609 West 2nd Street. I don't have much prepared today. Doug commented on a lot of the things that I want to talk about. Some of you received an email from me this evening. Some of you did not. Those of you that don't have it, if you want it, let me know or ask your friends to send it on to you. I'm up here today to reiterate that we have a dire need for animal control services in the city of Florence. Yes, we have a code enforcement officer. I've been told that it is not his primary duty. I believe that we need to look at how much time he's spending dealing with animal control calls, because I think it's more than people realize. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but there were 75 plus phone calls. Actually, I think it was 139, including January and February, just to the city of Florence, not all opened, not all investigations, just for a period of those months related to animals. Of those that are current open public record, there's approximately 55 that were animal related only between February and July. Many of those were animal bites, many of those were animal attacks, you know, dog on dog, potentially dog on human. I don't have all of the notes, so I can't specify for you. However, in a recent email to me, I felt that it was expressed that there seems to be a higher need or a higher priority to control weeds in the city of Florence. And while I agree that maintaining desirable and undesirable vegetation around the city is important, it's not a public health threat like loose dogs are. I don't know if any of you watch the news about the issues with the puppies that were euthanized for rabies. It's a real threat. And that's not the only thing that we have to worry about when people are attacked. Many people in the city of Florence don't register their dogs. Many of the people in the city of Florence don't vaccinate their dogs. Many of them don't keep their dogs at home, as I'm sure you know. But on top of that, it's about maintaining a relationship with the citizens of Florence for those who need help when their dogs are loose. They're not all bad owners. There's accidents, and we need to know that we have somebody that has the equipment and the training to be able to handle these calls. And as far as I know, currently, as I stand here today, unfortunately, our code enforcement officer still doesn't have the training and still doesn't have the equipment. Last month, in July, I assisted with a chip scan, which I'm happy to do. But this dog potentially had a broken back, and the officer has no training to deal with that, has no training to deal with aggressive dogs. And so it's a liability for these animals, it's a liability for the city of Florence, it's a liability for the owners, and we need to do better. We have a shelter, as Doug told you, that is highly recognized in the state of Colorado and nationally, and we are failing as a city. We need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Next, Susie Seelbach? Okay.
Susie Seelbach, 524 Brookway. I want to reiterate some of what Katie had said, but I want to focus on the fact that, unless I'm incorrect, and I welcome the correction, we do not have a microchip scanner. And I don't really understand why this is minimized. It's a disservice to the animals, and it's insulting to responsible animal owners. Microchipping is the most effective way to identify lost, found, injured, stolen dogs with their family. Without a scanner, the chip doesn't do much good, doesn't do any good. We need a scanner centralized in a location, perhaps the sheriff's police department, since we only have coverage for animal control 4 days a week. And I want to touch on animal shelter work is physical and it's emotionally draining. Yet shelters and rescue groups all over the country find time and funding to have these animals chipped before they're released for adoption. I mean, they do that to keep them safe so we can identify. It's terrible for a family not to know where their pet is. And as Katie said, they're not all bad owners. Accidents happen. Sometimes children let a dog out. Things happen. But we can't even scan that particular dog if we find it and reunite it with that family. I just think it's I think it's wrong to be so dismissive about this. And I also want to say that Katie, Pat, Zoe, and I also spoke about this in length. It's now been a year. So dismissive is the proper word to use here. I wish we would check that out. It's for the safety of the community, it's for the safety of the pets, and we're willing to do this. So I just don't understand what the holdup is. It's for the community. It's not a favor. And it shouldn't be misconstrued as such either. It's a request that's viable for our community.
Thank you, Susie. And Kevin Momolji.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name's Kevin Momolji, the Florence Reporter, P.O. Box 19, Florence, Colorado. So I guess continuing the discussion on the police blotter and touching on dismissiveness, it's been over a year. Some of you, Mayor Wolf, specifically, thank you for your correspondence on the issue of police blotter. It wasn't something that I received across the board from members of council. Some of you still have not replied to emails, but whatever. My ask today is that you put the issue of police blotter to an up or down vote. It seems like that is the right thing to do, considering you guys as a body theoretically represent the wishes of the folks out here and taxpayers. The fact that you guys are going about this and making the decision through the city manager to not allow that to be published is a disservice to the citizens of this community, right? If you guys wanted to do your job, you could simply put this to an up or down vote. You would open the door and you would have discussion. We would have public comment for or against the issue of police blotter, and then you guys would put it to an up or down vote. If it's not an ordinance, that's a resolution, something that would direct the city manager to fulfill your wishes as a body. I'm just the newspaper guy. And some of you have taken positions on the issue of police blotter, right? You've made it clear, you've made it known how you feel about it. Stop telling me about it and tell these guys about it, right? I'm tired of this compartmentalized discussion. And honestly, when you started rattling off, Mr. Mayor, the whole rules of engagement here, it's hysterical, right? Like, you guys have been elected for 286 days, and not one of you has hosted a constituent meeting. Do you guys find that weird at all? Or do you find comfort in hiding behind the rules of engagement that you have here in this building? Right? I think it's the latter, to be honest with you. So I will continue to beat this drum. I'm writing an article in this next paper. And I've told people, frankly, this is the honest to God truth. You guys put it to an up or down vote and you vote it down, I'm done. You won't hear another peep out of me about that because you did your job, you solicited input from the community, and you took legislative action. There's nothing more for me to say at that point. You guys made your decision. Instead, you're just letting it hang out there in the wind, right? And this whole constant contact thing, I apologize for the mistake on the agenda, but you guys need to get a grip on that because as citizens, there is no understanding of what communication we are obligated or that we should expect to receive from that platform. It's literally the discretion of the city to kind of give us the information you want us to have without having any repercussions for not delivering, right? So just think about that, developing an internal something to say, hey, this is what you can expect from constant contact. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, item 5, consent agenda. Consider approving the minutes as written for the regular city council meeting on August 5th, 2024. B, consider approving city expenditures prepared on August 15th, 2024 in the amount of $134,438.61. And consider approving Pioneer Park usage for the Bugling Elk Vineyard and Winery Millennium Grown LLC. At this time, is there any consent agenda item that a council member would like to pull? All right, hearing none, could we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion. We approve consent agenda A, B, and C.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion passes. Okay. Old business. Consider approving the second reading of ordinance 9-2024, an ordinance approving Willow Creek Estates filing number 2, re-subdivision of lots 1 through 25 and lots 126 through 143, Willow Creek Estates subdivision. City planner.
The first reading of ordinance number 9-2024 was approved unanimously at the August 5th, 2024 City Council meeting. Did you have any additional questions pertaining to the project or the staff report for the second reading?
No, I just like I asked last time, all parties have discussed those 2 additional things that to be done.
The plat maps, the
Yeah.
Mylar maps, I believe so, yes. I will be in contact this week with the surveyor. He's been out of town.
Okay. Are there any questions?
been engineered to put that pump station in they wanted up there?
No, that'll come after the first phase probably is completed, or not anytime soon, no.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve ordinance 9-2024?
I'll make the motion. The City of Florence City Council makes the motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 9-2024, an ordinance approving Willow Creek Estates filing number 2, a re-subdivision of lots 1 through 25 and lots 126 through 143, Willow Creek Estates subdivision.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Counselor Stone,
Yes.
Counselor Mergelman,
Yes.
Counselor Van Houten,
Yes.
Counselor Stiefel,
Yes.
Counselor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. Thank you, and we wish Mr. Stoner success with this project. It'd be a big project for Florence. All right, item 7, new business. Consider approving resolution number 8-2024, resolution approving the amendment of the subdivision improvement agreement relating to infrastructure improvements for Pikeview Estates filing number 1.
Okay. Pikeview Development Corporation has requested a change to the construction phasing and to the restriction of issuance of building permits outlined in the current subdivision improvement agreement. The current agreement is from 2001 and pertains to Pikeview Estates filing number 1 and number 2. Filing number 2 has been completed for some time. The changes to the construction phasing for the development will make it more financially feasible for the construction of the infrastructure in filing number 1. Section 7, restriction on issuance. The amendment to the agreement changes the instances of all building permits to certificates of occupancy or temporary certificate of occupancy. This change was made due to the nature of the structures that are part of this new development. The homes arrive manufactured, and the developer has run into issues with lead times and cannot control when a manufactured unit will arrive. The manufactured homes, for a manufactured home, the building permit simply allows the home to be set on a foundation and put together. Did you have any additional questions pertaining to the staff report or any of the items submitted?
I do.
Yes.
Is that so when they bring a unit in, they can put it right on the foundation that day? They
Yeah.
don't have to come down and get a building permit?
Yes, so they can go ahead and set it on the foundation on that first
So if
phase.
he's not expecting one, but he's got the foundations poured, he can just have that unit just pushed right onto the foundation?
Yes, because currently they'll just bring them in and set and not set them, but they'll just put them in an area and then they have to come back and then move them again. And it's really up to the contractor to do that, and it's more like of additional charge and extra work for them as well.
If I could add something there too, in addition to that, after speaking with both the developer or the city attorney, this actually offers additional financial protection to the city in case of any default or anything with a manufactured home, because when they're set and put together, there's less chance of vandalism, less exposure to the elements, etc. In a traditional stick-built home, denying the building permit means they can't even start on building. So this is kind of a different change, but it's specific to the manufactured home to give us additional protection.
Okay. Any other questions here? So the one thing I got out of it, so the order in which they are going to build up the division, that changed a little bit from the original, right?
Yes, it did, because some of the phasings of have already been partially completed, like along Arrowhead, along Indian Hills, etc. So that's why it's kind of changed a little bit.
Okay.
I would just add one other thing. This change is not insignificant. There's a reason why I think it's usually that the building permit is the collateral. It does seem to echo Amy's thoughts to kind of match this project better, where you're not dealing with where to park a bunch of manufactured homes and have them sit unutilized and maybe not even being able to discover defects, while still, I want to be clear with these changes, requiring all project requirements that need to have been met before the certificate of occupancies get issued. So there's still a protection in place that there's leverage over the contractor if something isn't going to plan or to the city's liking.
Any other questions here? Okay, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 8-2024?
I'll make a motion to consider approving resolution number 8-2024, a resolution approving the amendment of the subdivision improvement agreement relating to infrastructure improvement for Pikeview Estates filing number 1.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Counselor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor Stone,
Yes.
Counselor Van Houten,
Yes.
Counselor Stiefel,
Yes.
Counselor Mergelman,
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. All right, new business item B, consider adopting a resolution amending the outside agency funding request program for the city of Florence. City manager.
So after the 2024 process wrapped up, which we just sent out emails asking people to get the check for the funding, in the spirit of continuous improvement, we looked at the outside agency funding process, and we're recommending a change to the program in which a placeholder amount of total funding is allocated towards the program as part of the annual budgeting process. The total funding is then distributed after the budget has been approved. The process will still require applications, application review, and presentation to the council as part of a regular city council meeting. The recommended change might sound familiar in that it's consistent with the 2024 funding process we just wrapped up, where $20,000 was included as a placeholder and maximum amount of funding to be distributed, with funds subsequently distributed up to this placeholder amount. Please note 20,000 is just included for illustrative purposes and reference only. You would decide the placeholder each year as part of the budget process. In order to facilitate this change, there were some edits made to the selection process and allocation of funds portions of the document. These include, under the selection process, the stipulation that the presentation will take place prior to the budget public hearing was removed and the process was changed to fully occur after the annual budget for the funding year is finalized, but it still occurs in a regular city council meeting. And under allocation of funds, language was added stating the council will vote for a placeholder that provides the maximum amount of funding to be distributed, rather than individually voting by organization. And we had to change the flow chart to meet up with these changes. You should note that this change also allows for an additional opportunity for public input. In the previous iteration of the process, distribution of funds was intended to be part of the budget approval process, meaning the designated opportunities for public input were at the meeting where presentations were provided and as part of the budget public hearing. In the proposed updated process, a maximum amount of funds is set as part of the budget process, meaning designated opportunities for public input are still the budget public hearing, the meeting where presentations are given, and an additional opportunity at the meeting where the distribution of funding occurs. So the adoption of this resolution adopts the amended program document and its appendix by reference.
So the process would be very much like this year, except we would be doing the selection process right at the very beginning of the year instead of in August, like we did this
That
year.
is correct. The selection process was pushed back this year, of course, to develop the program, get through all the legal challenges with that, any legal language we needed, etc. This has the selection process occurring right after the budget is finalized, which is typically late December. So in January, we would start the process and anticipate completing it in the first quarter of each year to allow time for application, review, etc.
Any questions from?
I think that in a roundabout way helps the program because most of this money is used for summer events. And that gives them a chance to come in the first of the year and apply for some money to sponsor the merchants and the chamber and stuff, their summer events, so it's probably better timing for the dispersal.
Plus, it'll be better for them to give us feedback on the completion of the program through the year. I think we will get a better picture, and when we ask for the progress reports, we'll get a better picture of how the funds were utilized. Okay, any other questions? Would someone like to make a motion to consider adopting a resolution amending the outside agency funding request program for the city of Florence?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 9-2024, a resolution providing for the adoption of an amended outside agency funding request program for the city of Florence, Colorado.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Mergelman,
Yes.
Counselor Van Houten,
Yes.
Counselor Stiefel,
Yes.
Counselor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor Stone,
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. Yeah, I'd just like to comment, the other thing I like about it is that fact that, if we have some real budget considerations at the end of the year, we could take those into considerations too. If something happens and we're in one of those times where we have to trim the budget or be really tight, that can apply then. Okay. Question to city manager and city attorney. With our approval of item B, do we need to consider appointing 2 council members at this time?
So this was intended as a placeholder item in case that resolution should not pass. You can either table it to a date certain, which would probably be in January sometime. You can just dismiss the item entirely, or Dan may have other options for you. Or you could vote on it now for January if you really wanted to.
Got 2 seasoned veterans right here.
Yeah, I have nothing really to add. I think council, it's probably a decision of, can you make a good decision tonight or wait till a more timely time?
I'll go ahead and throw my name back in the bucket on the list.
Would not be opposed to doing it again either.
Okay. Well, we'd like to thank James and Matt
Yes.
for stepping up. And, they do have the experience there in the process, and that, having some continuity there always helps. It does. Could we have a motion then? All right. I'd like to make a motion, can
I would not.
I? Okay. Thank you.
So can we make our own
Well,
motion?
I'll
or-
make, well, I
or
can make
is
a
that-
I'll make a motion that we take up James and Matt on their offer to repeat as the council, the commission for the nonprofit funding request.
Outside agency.
Outside agency.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Mergelman,
Yes.
Counselor Stone,
Yes.
Counselor Van Houten,
Yes.
Counselor Stiefel,
Yes.
Counselor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. Item 8, council updates. James,
I do not have any.
Matt,
No report.
Rudel.
I attended this county planning. One thing I did that was very enjoyable was I went down and took a tour of the new elementary school cafeteria and entrances and stuff, and very proud of what the community did there. They took care of kind of a dismal thing we put up with over the years, and those kids have a beautiful, brand-new, spanking shiny cafeteria to eat in now. They don't have to cross the road twice a day. Arts Council's going along fine, and Pioneer Days is doing the final planning.
Brenda.
Nothing to add other than what Rudel said, and Pioneer Board is moving on.
Danny.
Yes, I attended the Florence Chamber of Commerce. They are working on a new event for the city. And it will be September 8th from noon to 6th. And they'll have flyers out, and that will be called Floco Fun Fest. It's an end-of-the-year festival. They're also working on promoting the City of Florence advertising. The other meeting I went to was Florence Merchants. They are currently working on an event for October for the downtown, and also working on promoting and advertising. I attended the Advisory Tree Board. They reviewed the different presentations that they met with to give information about their tree pamphlet. Also, the business after hours at the museum. Hopefully everybody went. It was great. It was good.
Thank you, Gail.
The only thing I have is preservation's coming up on the 27th. It begins at 4:30, and it's open to the public.
Mayor's report. I attended senior coffee chat, which is always a good time. I have had a brief meeting with Dr. Bill Wilson, who's the new RE2 superintendent. Just trying to make that connection between the city and the school district. And again, what Rudel talked about, the improvements to the elementary school and all the improvements and everything that's going on up to high school is a benefit to the city. Mayor's Roundtable. The thing that came out was the appreciation from Canyon City, from Fremont County, for the efforts we had this summer with our pool and making that available, because one of the big things on their plate is what they're going to do with their pool over there. And they were really appreciative of what we've been able to do over here and how accommodating we've been. Busy September coming up. Pioneer Park will be used every weekend in September. Mentioned the Chamber Late Summer Festival on the 8th. The tour to Coal Camp on the 14th. If you haven't signed up yet for this leisurely ride from Florence to Williamsburg to Rockville to Coal Creek and back, and then get served lunch and support the Pioneer Museum, please do that. Pioneer Day is on the 21st. And then the Southern Colorado Barbecue Challenge will be coming September 27th through the 29th. And that's like a KC Barbecue Association sponsored event. I mean, it's going to be a big deal. So really a lot going on. There was a gigantic crowd in the Pioneer Park on Sunday, some of our faith-based organizations. So it's just good to see everything going on there. I also wanted to thank, there are a bunch of businesses in Florence that are supporting something called SoCo Ticket, which is a live stream of many of the Florence High School sporting events. And, it's a great way to advertise. They're going to be every Tuesday evening down at Oak Creek Grill. They're going to be hosting a live event and blogging it or whatever you call it, sending it out live stream. And so they're, just to get a lot of support from Florence businesses. And again, just a great way to advertise. So if anybody here or, watching needs to have any information, you can just drop me a line and I'll just send you to the right person or to the right website if you want to do that. So, okay, City Manager's report.
So after your vote on the resolution this evening, we will pull the outside agency funding applications right now from the website so that we can revamp that, et cetera. Since the process won't be starting again until January, we'll put them up a little later this year, probably early fourth quarter.
Okay. Will we be contacting some people who may be trying to scramble right now?
Yes,
Okay.
we will contact everyone who put in an application last time, and we'll put a notification up, send communication about it, but we will go ahead and pull those at some point this week and send out communication. I will add another event to the mayor's list. We have our Paint with a Cop event on September 7th in Husky Park. So bring a rock, we've got paint, and come out and paint with some of our police officers and help them build a rock snake. Officer Klein did a fantastic job on painting the head of the snake already. It looks great. I can't wait for everyone to see it. And Sergeant Glenn did a wonderful job putting the event together. Cortland will send out later this week a poll for some possible dates for our budget workshops, because we're going to get started on those coming up as soon as Lori and I finalize the budget calendar, most of which, of course, is based on statute. So keep an eye on your email, as we'll be sending out polls for that. Speaking of the pool, the last day of the pool open swim was yesterday, but we will still be doing all the parties that we have booked, etc. But with all the kids going back to school, many of them involved in extracurricular activities, we've determined that yesterday was the final day of operations for open swim. So Alexis Hess, our pool manager, did a fantastic job keeping everything up and running, and thanks to our great lifeguard staff for all of that as well. Finally, the street needs assessment, we'll present that on September 3rd. Had a few additional questions that needed some clarification before it was presented to the council, though it was originally planned for tonight. That will come before you on September 3rd as a presentation item.
Any questions for city manager? I just have one real quick, and we've talked about it, but I've had some questions about a fillable form for constant contact on the website. If you could address that, please.
Yes, our website does not allow for that in its current iteration. We have one posted, and you can fill it and email it back to us. You're welcome to take a screenshot, get it back to us in any way, but we cannot get it to link back to where it just automatically sends to us after you fill it out. I know Cortland has worked very hard on that on the new version of our website as well, and it still is unable to be done, but we're happy to accept paper. You can take a picture of it with your phone and send it to that email address, and we'll accept it. So we would love to have that, but our website just won't support it at this time.
Okay, thank you. City attorney?
Yeah, first, I've got a question on this leisure ride. Just one lap?
Just one lap.
Oh,
It's one
see,
lap.
I would have
It's-
thought
it's-
at least 4 or 5.
It's like 9 miles, and the last mile and a half is you can coast it.
And
You can
everything
coast the
else
last
is
mile.
uphill, right?
There's a couple uphills.
Fair enough. In terms of updates, I wanted to give you guys a brief update on the Black Hills rate case we talked about. Amy and I met on Friday with our lead attorney on that case. His name is Brandon Dittman from the firm Wilson, Williams, Fellman and Dittman. Canyon City also had representatives at that meeting. It was really just kind of an initial kickoff meeting, talk about strategy and schedule. Not a whole lot of decisions were made. We are currently actively circulating kind of a formal agreement between the parties, and that should be coming to you guys shortly for approval. Other than that, we're at very early stages of the litigation. For those of you that may or may not know, there's a lot of ebb and flow to litigation. Kind of the next big step will be the pre-conference trial or pre-trial hearings, where they kind of gather some initial information. Then we'll probably meet again, and then I'll probably have an update to give you all, but that's where things stand at the moment.
All right, thank you.
So do they treat that like a regular trial?
It's very, very similar. The PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, is going to hear it en banc, which means the entire commission. That's not always common. It basically shows that they're considering this a very significant case. They will serve as judges. Each side will present testimony and lay out cases. There will be witnesses. That's the basics. There's some slight differences between what you might have seen on Law and Order, but by and large, it does mimic a very formal trial with.
So is Black Hills considered the defendant?
I don't know if defendant would be the right term, so I won't say that to get myself in trouble. But yes, essentially they are on the other side of the parties fighting the rate increase.
Again, thank you. At this time, would anybody have a need to call for an executive session? Hearing none, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain. Meeting adjourned at 7:27. Thank you, everyone.